Back for another edition of In the Huddle. Carl Dukes put them up along with my man Brian Baldinger. Jason Canfora, part of this podcast as well. We are in the thrones of training camp, guys, but we continue to break down the divisions. And today we're going to take a look at the AFC East. Baldy, I want to start with the Patriots because they made the change at offensive coordinator with Bill O'Brien. And obviously Bill knows what he's doing, but he comes in, and I don't know if there's still strife between Belichick and his quarterback and Mac Jones after Jones apparently went outside the building seeking help last year. But that was one of the stories we talked about. Mm-hmm. And now, you look at the Patriots, Baldy, Jets improved. Bills are still good. I think Miami improved. I don't know how much the Patriots improved to make me feel like they will contend for this division, even though they have arguably the greatest coach in the NFL history, in Bill Belichick. I just feel like the other three teams have improved. Where are you at with the Patriots and the offense and what's going on with Mac Jones? Because that's got to be better.
Well, I think the other side of the ball is really solid. I think they're really good defensively. They drafted some good corners last year. They continue to, they added Christian Gonzalez, another corner this year. I think the defense is going to be fine. I think offensively, you think about the great Brady-led Belichick teams, okay, for 2 decades. Outside of Randy Moss, they didn't have a fleet of great wide receivers, but they had great slot receivers, Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola. I mean, they had great slot receivers. They had great tight ends, okay? Obviously Gronk, and before that, they had great tight ends, and they threw to their running backs. That's and Brady just nickel and dimed you, and they didn't make mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay, they still – I feel like they still want to play the same way, but they don't have those players. Look, Ramondre Stevenson is a quality back. The offense line is good. It's not great. But I just don't see the firepower at receiver. Like, they had a Juju Smith-Schuster, but nobody thinks Juju is going to change the way they play the game on the perimeter. Devontae Parker, they reassigned him. I've seen Devontae have some decent years in Miami. I haven't really seen him be great. They had drafted, they have Kendrick Bourne. Like, they have guys there. I just don't see Tyquan Thornton was a rookie last year, second round. I just don't see the firepower at wide receiver. Now, you can change and put Billy O'Brien at coordinator. He knows what he's doing, how to call plays. Mac Jones can not turn the ball over. I just don't see them up against Miami, against the Jets corners, being able to win on the outside. And so then you go, okay, we got to really play great ball control. We can't make mistakes. And that you just can't play and win big that style right now in this league. It's not fair to Mac Jones, I don't believe. And I just don't believe you can compete against the other 3 teams with what they have at wide receiver.
Baldy, you're right. The Cheetah and Waddle in Miami. I mean, Diggs in Buffalo. All these teams in their division, as I said, I feel like they've improved in those areas. And here's the thing about New England. The offense was terrible last year, guys. It just was, okay?
Yeah.
2 reasons. One, Matt Patricia and Joe Judge had never called plays, and that played into it. And then you had a quarterback who just wasn't playing well. So the offense was abysmal, and you're not scoring points. I know everybody thinks that the way you win in this league is you got to have a great defense, and you do. But you still got to score points, Baldy. You still got to be able to put the ball in the end zone. And I just don't know if this particular version of the Patriots are going to be able to do that enough. And remember this too, guys. Bailey Zappi, okay, at one point last year was the fan favorite. They're on national television, and they got Zappi shirts on, and people are going nuts. So I just think that is something they've got to get figured out. Let me ask you about this back half. You mentioned Christian Gonzalez. He was high on everybody's draft board. They go and they decide to go get him out of Oregon. How good is he going to be? How much better does he make that back half of the defense?
They love to play sticky man coverage. They typically don't draft corners in the first round. They have found Malcolm Butler. They found J.C. Jackson. They have found guys in free agency and developed, and they picked up Stephon Gilmore from Buffalo. They've gone out and gotten their corners, great corners from other teams. And then they have developed young corners into the style that they like to play. They've got a fleet of safeties that are good. The pass rushers are elite, with what they have on the edge right now. Josh Uche really came on last year. They're good defensively. Like I don't have any question. I think they're a top 10 defense. I just think that right now when you look at them, you go, Matt Judon can be as disruptive as just about anybody off the edge. The way that they play defenses, it's unique in their style and how they keep everything in front of them, but yet they can take out the edge guys, the fringe guys. I just don't see. Like I just remember that first game last year against Miami, and there's Tua on 4th down before the end of the half, and they're like, we're going for it. And he hits, Jalen Waddle. Next thing you know, Waddle's doing the Waddle in the end zone. And the Patriots are just going, they're just freaking fast and slippery and they attack. And if you're not attacking in this league, like aggressively attacking, then I don't think that you're playing to win the game the way it has to be right now.
Guys, we are previewing the AFC East. Carl Dukes, Brian Baldinger, subscribe, like us. It's In the Huddle. Tell your friends, guys, wherever you get your podcast. Odyssey obviously carries our podcast, and we'd love for you guys to check us out. Go review the old stuff. Go look at some of the old stuff. Baldy's been saying crazy stuff for months now, all right? Make sure you check it all out. Baldy, what about the Buffalo Bills? They got pushed around in the playoffs, and I want to address the offensive line. Did they do anything to make the offensive line better? Because everybody looks back to that game against Cincinnati and they go, wait a minute. They physically beat them up. How much better are the Bills going to be up front to protect Josh Allen? And are they going to be able to run the ball better this season?
Well, they went out and got Connor McGovern from Dallas, a big guard. They drafted Osiris Torrance from Florida, a big guard. They wanted to get bigger inside, and so I think Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown still be their tackles, I would imagine. But they're going to try and get bigger up front, give Josh just a cleaner pocket to be able to stay there and not have to be, superhero Josh Allen in order to complete a 3rd and 5. And Cincinnati whipped them so bad. I mean, they scored 10 points at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. And Josh Allen got blitzed, he got pressured. Every single guy up front got beat once quickly. Where all of a sudden, Josh is under siege, and now he's got to go to hero ball to try and win, and couldn't get the ball to his star wide receiver. He wasn't happy. Didn't seem like Stephon Diggs was happy the whole offseason about how things were.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Buffalo goes backwards. They added some players to the running back room. I got to see. I think James Cook is the starting running back for sure. But, they added Damian Harris, who was a very good back in New England. They brought in Latavius Murray, who's probably on a 16 now, but he's a big back. He has had his moments in this league. Maybe it's, just short yardage, goal line type plays for Latavius. I don't know. But they've got a rotation of backs now that says maybe if they get bigger up front, they can move the line of scrimmage more, and they put these backs in some combination. Maybe they can be a better running team and not have to throw it so much. That's kind of what I think they want to try to do. And then, once Von Miller got hurt last year defensively, like the pass rush really wasn't very good. And young corners on the edge, Kyer Elam, the guys that, were out there on the edge, they weren't very good. And then, of course, DeMar and like the things that happened. So they weren't, and now Leslie Frazier's not coming back. He's taking a year off. So I feel like Buffalo might not be the team to beat in the AFC East right now because of some of the things I've just said. We'll see how the changes are, but they don't look like they're clear-cut front favorites the way I think we all thought at this time of the last 2 years.
Do you think Leslie Frazier is done coaching? Or he's just taking a break? What do you think?
Well, I saw him. I just saw him. NFL Network signed him. He's doing TV for us. And I just saw him in Los Angeles last weekend. And quite honestly, Carl, he's frustrated. Very frustrated that he can't get a second head coaching job. And he thought maybe he needs to step away. The defense has been elite until it fell apart with injuries last year, but it has been elite, has carried this team, perennial playoff team, perennial playoff winning team. And he got some interviews, but he said they weren't really very serious. So he thought maybe if I do the TV thing for a year, Sean Payton did it, back in. Maybe I need to step away and just look at the landscape, let people see me, let people hear me talk about the game. Maybe he could change the perception of whatever that is right now. So I don't know if he'll come back as a coordinator. I know he wants to be a head coach again, Carl.
Yeah, Baldy, and listen, I've had these conversations with specifically black assistants in the NFL. Fair, unfair, their second opportunities seem to be harder, okay,
Yeah.
once they get let go. And it's just what it is. And so that makes total sense because he's a hell of a coach, and I wondered if he's just like, I'm out because I'm burned out a little bit. Guys get burned out. You do this all your life, and I just didn't know because Leslie's a hell of a coach. So that's interesting. But he'll be on NFL Network, so we'll get a chance to hear him and see him this year. Guys, we're talking about the AFC East. All right. And I agree with you, by the way, with Buffalo as we wrap up that I like their squad. I still just don't know what's going on with Diggs and the front office. And that is a little bit scary for me because Baldy, all it takes is one distraction, right? One thing to go left during a season and all of a sudden things go downhill. I don't know if that's been figured out yet.
Well, if it hasn't been figured out, Carl, here's what will happen is because if you lose a game in this league, okay, teams lose a game. You lose 2 games in a row in this league. I don't care who you are. Like I remember in 93, Cowboys lost the first 2 games. Emmett was holding out. And the sky was falling in Dallas. Now, Emmett got back in. You got the offense rolling. You won a Super Bowl. But you lose 2 games in this league. I don't care when they happen. The sky starts to fall. It starts to crumble. And if you have a relationship that isn't strong, whether it was Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay for a period of time or Stephon Diggs, and I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I don't know. We don't know. So I'm not saying that. But if there is a fracture in there, that thing, we'll all see it. We'll all see it. And then it could be a bigger thing. And so to your point, I don't know if it's healed and it's good because it seemed weird to all of us the way it went down in OTAs this year, where he's in the building, he's gone. And we got to get things straightened out. Next day, everything's fine. It didn't feel like it's let's get 90 guys. Let's go to camp. Let's get our best 53 and let's go win it. Like, it didn't have that feel to it to me.
AFC East, guys, a couple more teams to get to. It's in the huddle. Carl Dukes, Brian Baldinger, Jason Lock-on-4 are part of this podcast. We're going to be all over it as the season gets rolling, and we can't wait. Football is back. Let's talk about the Dolphins. I look at this offense, Baldy, and I go, it's impressive. From a personnel standpoint, Tua has all the things you could ask for. They've got, I think, young talent around him, speed, versatility. Have they added enough depth? That is my question to you with the Dolphins. Because I think their starters are great. But you and I know this thing is a long season, and do they have enough depth to get it done when we start talking about the Dolphins, maybe potentially not only winning this division, but maybe going deep into the playoffs?
Well, it starts with the offensive line, and the offensive line crumbled last year. The guy that they were counting on the most, Teron Armstead, got hurt, missed some time, but played through the injuries like he always does. Robert Hunt seemed good. We got to see, can Austin Jackson hold down the right tackle position? They didn't seem like they had enough depth up front. And then Tua went down, and, they just, the quarterback position was great when Tua was in there. It was really good. They added Devon Achane, a running back. Mike McDaniel's just covered speed. That's what he wants at that position. So, Raheem Mostert has it. Jeffrey Wilson Jr. has it. I feel like they're good at running back. They added Robbie Anderson at wide receiver. Robbie can flat out fly. So you add that to, it's a track team out there with the Cheetah and with Waddle and Robbie Anderson. Like it's elite speed. You make a mistake, you blink, you miss a tackle, they're going to dance on you. So the key is to protect. This isn't, revelation. They got to protect Tua better than they did. Like, he can't go down with the injuries that he had last year. He has to be concussion free. He just does. Now, other injuries might creep up, but the concussion thing would worry me. It should worry Tua. It should worry the whole league if that happens again, because it's just too many. And so you don't know that he can be that until you go through 17 games and an 18-week schedule, 18-week season. So that's the biggest question mark right now on this offense is, can Tua And it was the question at Alabama, can Tua line up for 17 this year? I mean, I think Mike White is solid. I mean, he's had his injury history too with the Jets, but he's a quality kid that knows how to throw the ball and smart and all that stuff. Fort Lauderdale kid. Like he's back home. Like that's fine, but really it's about Tua and keeping Tua upright and keeping him on the field.
Baldy, why is nobody talking about this defense? They run a 3-4. You've got Wilkins, Davis, Agba, Phillips up front, Bradley Chubb. They got dudes, Baldy, and it doesn't seem like anybody's talking about this defense.
Well, I think the biggest addition in the outside of Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, who we'll get to, was the addition of Vic Fangio at defense. And, Vic is in two places, in San Francisco and Chicago. He's led the league in takeaways. That's a big deal. I was talking to the Jets about it yesterday. Like, it's good that, you could be a top 5 defense. You give up 5th fewest yards. You want to lead the league in takeaways. That's what Dallas has done 2 years in a row, or they have the most takeaways over 2 years. Led it 1 year, second the other year. Like, you want to take the ball away. That's what Vic wants to do. They do it in a variety of ways. They give you, kind of a pre-snap look that's similar almost every single play, and then they change at the snap. You better get your post-snap reads down correct. Jalen Phillips, number 15 for the Dolphins, going his third year. I think he's going to be a breakout star. He showed it last year in the second half of the season. We got to see what Bradley Chubb can be. He calls himself the astronaut. I haven't seen him lift off in a while, Carl. Like he's got to lift off.
Yeah.
So Christian Wilkins is probably the best player nobody talks about in this business. But, Jalen and Xavier and Javon and Brandon Jones, like they could have as good a secondary as anybody in this business, especially if the pass rush takes off and what Vic is able to do and just the command that Vic has. Like you step in, I don't care if you step on a field with Vic, step in a room with Vic, watch tape, like he gets your attention. And the way that he teaches, the way that he demands, players like playing for Vic Fangio. And so this defense, like I expect him to be top 5 in takeaways, and I expect a guy like Jalen Phillips to break out. And Xavier Howard is just a damn good football player.
Yeah. Yeah, I just look at their personnel and I'm like, they got something. And I agree. A Vic Fangio, I don't want to say he's underrated because he's gotten his love. He's gotten his flowers. But I will say he is one of the best in the business. And you add that with talent, it's a dangerous combination down there in Miami. Before we talk about the Jets, let me ask you about McDaniel. What he doesn't seem to like the limelight, Coach Mike McDaniel. He just, goes about his business. He's quirky, right? He's kind of, weird in that sense where the way he answers questions. But you talk to other coaches and they're like, this guy's brilliant. He's really good. And so I'm curious to know what you think about the coaching situation there with Miami. And is he ready to take the next step?
Yeah, I think he is. And I love Mike. He does it differently. What he does is he really empowers his team with the confidence that he instills in his team. And his job is to not just get the best out of the players, because some players just don't know how good they can be. They don't know the power that's within him. He has kind of that secret power, that hidden power to get that out of players. Tua, for example, I think I think he believes Tua can be great, like really great. And speed is the difference in his whole business. Speed is the thing that covers up weaknesses in this business, offense and defensively. They have that. And I just think Mike, I think, he's never really called plays before until last year. So there's an art to calling plays. There's a rhythm, there's a timing, there's a lot of things that go into becoming a great play caller. You can design great offense, which he can do. He can believe in his run game. It's another thing to call it like in the moment. So I think he learned a lot from his own play calling last year and where he can be better. And so I think that's the challenge for Mike this year, is become a better play caller all the way around. But I believe in Mike in the way that he does it. I think the players respond to him.
All right. Last but not least, Jets. Jets. 4th in the division last year, but arguably the biggest change of any team with Aaron Rodgers this year in the offseason. And it was a big story. It continues to be a big story, Baldy. So tell me about these Jets, man, because if anybody's going to make the jump from last in the division to first, this is the team that potentially could do it this season.
Well, just recent history. Forget about any long-term history. But if you just go over the last 3 years, like this is a team that has been snake bit by injuries from like just the jump, and last year the offensive line crumbled. Breece Hall got hurt. They haven't been able to put together a healthy offensive line. Now they're relying on a 39-year-old left tackle, Dwayne Brown, to play left tackle. Nobody knows what Mekhi Becton's going to be. They drafted Carter Warren out of Pittsburgh. Like, they have not been able to put a solid, healthy offensive line on the field together. Kansas City lined up, played the same 5 guys for 20 straight weeks last year. I don't think a guy missed a start. They haven't come close to doing anything like that. So we could talk about Aaron Rodgers, and you can talk about Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard and all this stuff. They got to get it right up front. Because if Aaron Rodgers is under siege, if he's getting hit the way Flacco and Zach Wilson, some of these guys have been, Mike White have been hit over the last 3 years, this thing's going to fall apart. So that's the challenge. I think everywhere else, defensively, I think they've got playmakers. They want to be top 5 in takeaways. Breece Hall will get back. But I think, and you just don't know. Running backs never know. Nobody knows after you tear your ACL when it's going to be right mentally, when it's going to feel right, because it's going to be different than it ever has before. It's a different knee. It's a new knee. But if Breece isn't ready to go, if they've got to put him on a pitch count, I don't know that Michael Carter, Bam Knight, the rookie, Abanaconda, I don't know that that's an elite group. So there is talk out there that Dalvin Cook is out there.
Uh-oh.
And you just go, I'm not here to inflame any sort of chatter. But if you're going to be all in, Carl,
go all in.
Are you all in?
Yeah.
You go get Aaron Rodgers, you go get all these changes, right? There's Dalvin out there, and he's a hell of a teammate. He's a great player. And you don't know just what Breece Hall is going to be or when he's going to be that guy. So do you just go all in. Just go get Dalvin. Whatever it takes. Restructure contracts, go in the red, whatever you got to do. I just think the uncertainty at that position right now with where Breece is at, and maybe he starts week 1 against Buffalo. I don't know. But there's no need to rush a guy of this type of talent. Just go get Dalvin. And tell everybody in the building we're really all in. Not just to have a winning season, not to make the playoffs, to go win it all. I mean, that's what Tampa did. They went out and got Fournette and Antonio Brown, and they added pieces, and they got Gronk, and, they went and won it. Why not just go all in? To me, the Jets, they've gone this far. They got Hard Knocks out there. Go get another storyline, go get Dalvin.
I love
and
it.
Take them away from Miami or some other contender, and make them yours.
Yeah, it's offense playing defense, right? With that kind of situation. Baldy, if they do that, I'm all in. Okay? Because it changes how you can play. I mean, it just does. Aaron's great, but Aaron doesn't have to do superhuman things every, third down and every time you're in the red zone when you've got that in the backfield and that versatility. So I'm curious to see where these guys land. By the way, if you guys don't realize this, Leonard Fournette's out there, Dalvin Cook's out there, Ezekiel Elliott's out there. There's a bunch of running backs that are out there. But Dalvin Cook, because of his age and production, is still, to me, the best one available that could be signed. All right, let me ask you, as we're talking about the Jets, Robert Saleh. I like Robert Saleh. I think he showed us last year, he can be a head coach, but he's growing still in the job. And I'm wondering, is he going to be able to handle this? This is a different kind of pressure, Baldy. There's a different kind of pressure than what he's been. He got there, they weren't winning. It's the Jets. Now that is changed. At least the perception has changed. Is he going to be able to handle this?
Well, I think he's got a lot of help. I think he's got a great general manager in Joe Douglas that's gotten him all these pieces. I think he's got an owner that, wants to win at any cost. I think he's got a quarterback and a coordinator with that quarterback in Nathaniel Hackett. Because I don't think if Nathaniel wasn't there and Aaron Rodgers was here, or if Nathaniel was here and Derek Carr was here, I don't think it would work. I think it works because these two have a great relationship. They trust each other. They had 3 great years together in Green Bay. I think that combination helps out Robert Saleh from that standpoint. Guiding the team through turbulent waters, injuries, distractions, in-game decision-making, it's yet to be seen. It's just yet to be seen because it's not fair to say, well, he's got to be able to do all these things. I mean, it's a difficult thing. And so handling the New York media, the expectations, to your point, I don't know if Robert Saleh, because he doesn't, I don't know if Robert Saleh knows. He could take from, all the different guys that he's been around, San Francisco, Seattle, Green Bay, like he's been around certain places. This is a different type of cat right now. So I don't want to say Robert can't do it. We got to wait and see what those challenges are, because nobody knows where they're going to come from, but they're going to come. And so where are those things? Because the first time he screws up a clock management deal and they lose a game, the way we saw, last year, Seattle and Denver week 1.
Right.
Where Nathaniel Hackett didn't exactly get it right with Russell Wilson at the end of the game. Like that travels with you. And fans say you can't do this. They said that about Andy Reid for 12 years in Philadelphia. Now Andy's winning Super Bowls. They don't say that about him anymore. Maybe it was the quarterback that fixed it for him. But they said that about Andy. Like, oh, yeah, championship game's great. You can get to it. But clock management, that was his Achilles heel. We don't know what that's going to look like if that happens, and how Robert's going to deflect that, how they're going to overcome it if that happens.
It's a great point. And that's why, guys, this season, it's also handling all the other stuff, right? You've got big egos now in that locker room. Guys are growing into their own. I mean, you got to handle all of that stuff as a head coach. It's more than just play calling or, especially being the head coach. You got to handle and maneuver the locker room so guys stay on point. And I just think, for me, I need to see that from Saleh. I'm not telling you he's not a great coach, because I think he is. I think he knows what he's doing. But that part of it is what separates the great ones, Baldy. When you have a great team, there is an expectation. And I just want to ask you this as we finish up, and then I'll get to who we think is going to win the division, guys. Carl Dukes, Brian Baldinger in the huddle. The Hard Knocks situation in 2010, I went to New York. I was there when Rex Ryan was there. HBO sent us up there. Revis Island. I'm thinking back to all the guys that they had, right? And they had, as Bart Scott told me, we got some goons, okay? And I laughed, but he was like, we got some goons. But when I went up there, Rex embraced the Hard Knocks. He was like, we don't care. We're those dudes. We're going to whoop everybody's ass. We're here to play. And it was a different feeling. And I felt like the last few weeks, the Jets have been like, we don't want it. It's a distraction. Oh, and I'm like, if you are those guys, embrace it. If you feel like your team is that, is it really that big of a distraction to you to have these guys around following you around if your team is going to be that good? And I'm just comparing and contrasting to 2010 when I was there and it was a different feel. Even with, Sanchez as a quarterback, they still felt like it doesn't matter. We're going to win these games and we're going to be in the playoffs.
Well, they didn't embrace it. Nobody wanted it. I think the owner probably privately wanted it. He wanted the attention. He doesn't mind. He's probably going to make more money this year than he's ever made as the owner of the Jets. So that's what business owners do. I don't know. I was around there yesterday, and I'm going to go there tomorrow. I know these guys. I mean, I'm in the building where all these guys work, so I know the producers and camera people. I just feel like by this point right now, they've been there for a week. They're just part of the furniture. Like, honestly, like if like I talked to CJ Mosley about it last week, and he's like, if we can't handle this distraction, what happens when we have a real distraction? And so that's a mature attitude, CJ's taking. Like, we better be able to handle this, because there's going to be a lot more that's going to come at us. So I just feel like, look, if you're worried about cutting somebody on camera. Well, then just hire, find these two guys that, you got to do the TV thing for the cameras, and just let them know, like, we'll sign you back at practice squad. I mean, those things aren't difficult to get around. Everybody's got to cut players that are there for camp, So how you handle it and what you say to the cameras, that's one thing. Look, they've got the storylines write themselves for this show. When you're in that city, that town, heck, they're going up to Canton. There's Revis, there's Joe Klecko. Probably Namath will be up there. I mean, that's a whole show. Just watching the Hall of Fame, Jet fans just going nuts. Preseason, they got scrimmages against Carolina. They're looking forward to that. They got a scrimmage against the Giants. I mean, these storylines are going to be there whether the cameras are there or not, Carl. That's kind of how I would look at it. And if I had addressed the Jets team, I'm like, these are things that everybody's going to pay attention to. So I just don't think it should be that big of a deal.
All right, who wins this division, Baldy? We're talking about the AFC East. We do our divisional previews, guys, and these will continue as we go through camp and all the news that's happening here on In the Huddle. Who wins the AFC East?
Maybe it's just I was in New York yesterday and I saw Aaron Rodgers make Aaron Rodgers kind of throws. It was impressive.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the whole place just going, did you just see that? I mean, they're still talking about one of these throws to Garrett Wilson yesterday. That was just amazing. Now, it's got to be way more than that to win. But, damn, I think the Jets and Dolphins, they've always played some great games over the years. I feel like these two teams are going to battle it out. And I feel like the Jets with the quarterback situation is a little bit better right now. I think the Jets can win this division.
I'm going to agree with you. I like the Dolphins a lot. The uncertainty of Tua scares me a little bit. It just does. And I wish him nothing but the best. I hope he is healthy all season. It's better for the NFL. But when you get down to it, and I'll just say this, same applies in the NBA. There's certain sports. When I need a play, when I need a bucket, it's all about the quarterback. And I trust that guy a little bit more than I do the other guy. And so that's the only reason I'm going with the Jets, is because when I need a bucket, when I need a 3rd and 7, I know whether it's called or not, can he make that throw? Can he put it where it needs to be? And that is what I know Aaron Rodgers is capable of. Obviously, Josh and the Bills, I think they're going to be good. This is going to be a competitive division. I think it's going to be competitive as hell. But I'm with you, Baldy. I think this whole hype train and all this stuff is real, and quarterbacks matter. I'm going with the Jets as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna ride the Jets right now until I see otherwise, and I can make a case for it. Probably every team, except I just don't feel like New England is there.
Me neither.
I just don't. And I'm not here to bad-mouthing any coaching. I just don't see the roster being elite. They've made a lot of mistakes in the draft, and it's, and then, they tried to get DeAndre Hopkins. They knew, they tried to sign DeAndre and put him together with Billy O'Brien. He went to Tennessee, but they were making a big, courting of DeAndre Hopkins because he could change the way you play offense. And they don't have a guy like that. And you got to have that. You got to make, if you're Cincinnati, you got to go make a play. There's Jamar. He's right there. Like, where the ball's going to go. Kansas City, it's going to Kelsey. Like, you can, I've talked to Kurt Warner about this and the greatest show on turf. And, and when he went to Arizona, it was good to have Anquan Bolden. It was good to have Larry Fitzgerald. When he was in St. Louis, those guys that he threw to, it's good to throw it to Torrey Holt. Yeah. It's good to throw it to the minister, the reverend. So you got to have those guys, man, that you just got to make that play, and it's all or nothing. And the quarterback has no fear about being in that situation. And that's a great place to kind of build the foundation around. The quarterback has no fear about making that throw.
Great job, Baldy. Guys, we're back. We'll be talking about more division previews, more NFL news, and Baldy will be making his way around to different camps as we continue. So we got a lot to get to. Make sure you're here as we amp up for the start of the preseason.
I'll just say this, Carl. By the next time we chat, I should see the Jets, Giants, and the Cowboys. So those are 3 teams that are going to be probably competing for playoff positions this year. I hope to have a lot of great insight, when we meet up next week.
Right now, as we do this podcast, Zach Martin is not at camp for the Cowboys. Their first practice is today. He's not there. That may be a storyline we're following, guys, as we get to the Cowboys, and we will. Hey, great. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you. As always, subscribe, like us, and tell your friends. Everybody have a great day.